Metasafe, how to create a safe and sustainable infrastructure for the Metaverse.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Pearl. I'm the COO of Kirobo. Unfortunately, we're missing one speaker, but that'll do. So, during the last year or so, NFTs have emerged as the hottest asset. We saw NFTs being sold for millions of dollars and projects like OpenSea exploding in weeks. Along came the Metaverse hype that joined its older brother, DeFi. And it was built on DeFi's infrastructure. However, the problem is that DeFi itself is a very shaky infrastructure with many vulnerabilities, such as, for instance, the ease of losing your funds. So to discuss this, we have an expert panel that will discuss the problem and how to tackle this. So guys, let's just start with a round of introductions. So Sigmund, please.
Perfect, thank you so much. So my name is Sigmund. Two main companies, I'll keep it very brief. I'm a strategic advisor at NFT Technologies. We're one of the world's first publicly traded NFT companies. So we actually just listed on the NEO exchange here in Toronto around 2 weeks ago under the ticker NFT on NEO. And we're basically working to bring Web 2 companies into Web 3, but also expand through our gaming guild, our investment strategy, whether it be IDOs, ICOs, IOs, IGOs, INOs, really the entire kind of suite of products that are on the market, as well as, again, help companies grow through infrastructure developments, as well as a plethora of other value adds. Secondly, I work for a company based out of Dubai, IBC Group, and our focus is more of the consulting, advisory, and incubation of crypto projects. To date, we've worked with over 225 projects in terms of investments, marketing, partnerships, and advisory. And we've definitely ramped up in the last year, considering the bull run that we saw through the end of 2021. And now we're continuing to keep building into 2022, basically around the clock in regards to the projects, the advisory, and so forth.
Ori.
Hi guys, so my name is Ohayon. I am one of the co-founders of NFT BAZL, an investment-grade NFT marketplace that was built and set up just about 1.5 years ago. Prior to that, I was on Wall Street. I worked at Goldman Sachs as an equity sales trader. Was part of the team that built up the Bitcoin trading desk there. Moved over to TD to trade derivatives. And the whole time I was building out blockchain incubators focused on trying to transfer intrinsic value or digital titles using blockchain. As soon as NFTs came out, I noticed a massive opportunity with transferring ownership of a physical asset on-chain. And once NFTs came out, I basically quit my job in banking, built NFT BAZL, and I've been doing it ever since.
Asaf?
Hi, I'm Asaf from Kirobo. We are the company that invented the undo button for Bitcoin and Ethereum transaction. Lately, we announced invented a new technology that we call FCT, Future Condition Transaction, that allow you to create unique transaction on the blockchain that doesn't exist so far. The first two applications that we have on the FCT is the backup feature and the inheritance feature. That means that if you lose your wallet, you will never lose access to your asset. And if someone died, the family will receive the money safely. Obviously, everything is completely decentralized.
Thank you very much. So we'll start with an opening question for the entire panel. And basically, Sigmund, we'll start with you. So the Metaverse aims to be an extension of a person's life. So losing access to a wallet could mean losing not only your funds, but also your digital identity, right? So that's why there is a need for a technology that can facilitate that and can become a safeguard for that. So how do you see the industry tackling this right now?
Definitely, that's a great question. And in a sense, the stakes are a lot higher now than they were, ever before. Even in recent history, we've gone through a lot just in general, whether it be COVID, and we've always been able to overcome challenges. The issue now is we're seeing that the digital identity of individuals is arguably encroaching on becoming even more valuable than the real life. There's going to be a point where we cross that threshold. And with that, scams or just any lack of technological safety or security becomes a massive issue, because now it's not just your password that you can reset with two-factor authentication or through your email. Now it's your identity, your funds. It is who you are in the metaverse, and this is critical. So how to solve this? I think the first way that we solve this is with greater education, right? Because a significant amount, I'd say the vast majority, if not even encroaching on 80-90% of scams, errors, are human-based. Right, people make mistakes, they lose their seed phrase, they get caught into something. Further education will definitely help with this, but beyond that, there has to also be the technical implications of different technologies to make sure that, again, this is really a concrete industry that doesn't have the ability to exploit it in certain ways, simply because of exactly what you said, what's on the line in this case.
Ori?
Yeah, I think one of the big components is I'm not a massive believer in complete decentralization. I think when you completely decentralize something, you also take away a lot of the trust in the platform or whatever user interface you're relying on, and you're also assuming that everyone else on that marketplace or on that ecosystem is also going to be completely trustworthy, which I think we've seen with pretty much every blockchain project, tokens, security tokens, utilities, NFTs. There's always been a form of corruption embedded in those. So I believe in a term like centralized decentralization, where you're using the best of this new technology, but you're adding it onto the ancient infrastructure that we've built everything we were using on. So having marketplaces, I've done this with NFT BAZL, where we've built a centralized ecosystem, but it's all running on the Ethereum blockchain. So anything that we're minting or creating is publicly visible. You can see the transactions happening. But in the instance that a hacker, for example, comes in and steals an asset, I can essentially delete that one and create a new one to replace the user's asset. And having that form of credibility and having an ability to support your users and allow them to trust and rely on you is a massive hurdle that I think blockchain is facing right now. We've seen with every market correction in crypto, it's always been based off of a loss of trust, essentially. Being able to enforce that trust by having a centralized body that can be relied on.
Asaf?
First of all, I have to say I completely disagree for every word that you just said. I think that education people is very important, but it's simply it's not something that you can do for the masses. Imagine to educate the entire Gmail popularity, people that use Gmail, to remember their password. That's it. Try to do that, not the seed phrase. And you see that it's not possible. This is why there is restore password button on every platform that we use. Secondly, on the centralized, I don't see the value of being transferred decentralized system to a centralized system, because we basically have a better bank, and this is not what we want. I believe that there is a technology solution for the seed phrase. I think that we need to reduce the dependency on seed phrase. We are trying to do that, and I think that our solution is completely decentralized and it's fully pure technology, and I think this is the way to go. The idea is to reduce the dependency on seed phrase, and this is how we can overcome this problem. And think about that. Today, I spoke with two different entrepreneurs that established a company based on the blockchain. One of them is established amazing technology that allow physicians and nurses to share knowledge about the patient. And so I asked him, what happened if the physician will, forget his private key? What happened if he died? And there is no answer for that. And this is the answer that we have to understand before we are stepping even one step into a platform that we are trying to adopt.
So I just like to add a point to that. So So I think assuming that decentralization at 100%, completely decentralized, can function, is assuming that 100% of the population can function as a tech-savvy user, which I think in reality is maybe 5% of the population, right? Like, how often does someone have to go into their Gmail and reset their password and their backup emails and their phone numbers and everything? It's the vast majority. So assuming that the population is capable of mass adopting blockchain is also assuming that they can use seed phrases, MetaMasks, transferring of crypto over different decentralized wallets. And I think in order to get mass adoption, you have to get rid of that. You have to idiot-proof the entire system. And in order to do that, you have to essentially simplify the whole process. And I think to do that, you got to simplify it. And centralizing it to a certain extent in order to make sure that 99% of users don't lose their information in the case that they lose a phrase is how you prevent that.
So again, we have a technology solution that allow you to back up your asset in a way that if you lose access to the wallet, you will never lose access to your asset. And I will argue and say that there is no one single person in this audience that didn't restore his password on Gmail. So if we understand that and everyone agree, I'm sure that you understand that it will happen, as you say, on the blockchain, and our technology basically allow you to have this weakness that if you forget, it will never cause you to lose the entire asset.
Definitely. In terms of seed phrases, definitely agree with you in that sense, because like that's a common problem. Very quick, I just wanted to ask, just add on to that, is in the case of scams, right? In the case of people getting their accounts locked out, people taking their assets, whatever it might be in that regard, how do you see there being a solution? Because I agree with you, education isn't going to help you remember your seed phrase, but it's going to help you prevent getting scammed, in this new space, which for many is still the Wild West, and they don't understand what is real and what's not.
So first of all, I don't want to speak on the entire solution that we have, but we have a solution that even if someone steals your seed phrase, he will not be able to take your money, or at least not easily. So this is one of the answer. And we designed the system in a way that you have to be very, simple user, newbies, that you can generate a backup, inheritance, you can do whatever you want without even, guarding the seed in, and even forget it.
Guys, we have to dive into the questions, but I just gotta say that someone once told me that that a panel is interesting when the panelists disagree. So I think that we can already have that. So Ori, OpenSea dominated the scene now with all the collectibles and art, NFTs and so on. And now we have new NFTs, new types of NFTs emerging, like utility NFTs and so on. So what do you think is going to be the next project and how it will be different from the incumbent?
So I think the generative NFTs that we've seen to date are kind of a use case for what is actually capable with an NFT. An NFT is essentially a smart contract that can transfer title of ownership to any asset. Physical or digital doesn't really matter, it can transfer it with utility. So I think the next big plays you're going to see is one, the ability to tie physical and digital assets together, authenticating them using blockchain, which is like it's something we do with NFT BAZL with like physical art, for example. We're able to chip a piece of art using a small NFT chip. Those NFT chips are sealed with resin, so if you remove it, it cracks and it kills the NFT. And now you're able to authenticate and prove provenance of a physical asset for the rest of its life. I think you're going to start seeing that in collectible physical wearables, and you're going to see that being tied into the metaverse. So you buy a physical piece of clothing, you're also getting the digital component of it, and you can wear that in Web3. I also think there's a massive play in prop tech with NFTs transferring land title on chain. That's, again, physical deed of ownership transferred using the smart contract. And obviously, I think in play to earn is a massive opportunity as well.
Okay. So, Asaf, as you mentioned, you recently launched the inheritance solution. So, with crypto now becoming a store of value, real or a sentimental store of value, how does your solution enable people to execute their will and testament?
basically what we invented is Liquid Vault. The Liquid Vault is an on-chain wallet that you can deploy using your existing wallet. So you have your MetaMask, and then you deployed an on-chain wallet or Liquid Vault. This is how we call that. And inside the Liquid Vault, there is the FCT, the Future Condition Transaction. And then you can, on the Liquid Vault, with the original wallet, you can define the backup wallet that will seize control on the Liquid Vault in, I don't know, in 2 months or 3 months once trigger activated. And second, you can predefine the inheritance. You can say, okay, if wallet A doesn't have access to the Liquid Vault and wallet B doesn't have access to the Liquid Vault, so basically the Liquid Vault himself start to send in money according to predefined destination. For example, 10% to this address, 15% to that address, even 100% to your Coinbase account. The idea is that instead of a regular transaction that you should execute right now, we invented the FCT, the Future Condition Transaction, that is basically if-then transaction. And this is not something that exists on the blockchain today. And I believe that in two years from now, no one will use a regular transaction once you execute it. Just to give you an example, let's say that you want to send 200 transactions at once, right? So you set the 200 addresses and then you send the transaction. But now the gas price is $20 per transaction, so basically you will pay $4,000. But if you wait 24 hours or 48 hours, then the gas price will drop to $5 per transaction. But you cannot do it because you are going to sleep. You can sleep. But imagine that you can send this transaction and condition the transaction based on the gas price. And then you go to sleep and it's executed automatic on the blockchain. And I think this is one example of the power of the FCT. Obviously, we created the backup and inheritance, and we have other features that we want to do. But in few months, we will open the Liquid Vault to other developers to build on top of the Liquid Vault their own solution that will suit their needs.
Sigmund, I want to ask you, we're now in a bear market. Hopefully it's going to be a short one. But how do you think this will affect, the big promises about the metaverse? I mean, people were talking about us moving to the virtual space altogether, or at least some combination of both. But how will the crypto winter, again, hopefully it will be a short one, how will it affect this transfer?
Great question. Regardless of whether it's going to be short or whether we're going to see, maybe until 2024 until we see a pickup again, now is the time where projects are starting to build. And that's really critical. So the people right now in the space that are looking at this and saying, now we have an opportunity, those are the projects I'm really excited about. Because they're building something, not for the short term, but for the next bull run. And they're going to be very profitable when they do that. So in that regard, there are right now, I speak to a lot of projects, every month, and the ones that are rushing to get their projects out to launch, they're short-term visioned. Most of them, that is. The ones that now are buckling down and building and really starting to create something incredible, those are the ones I'm really excited for. Now, in the metaverse, as I'm sure many of you know, you can have a decentralized metaverse or a centralized metaverse. And as the entirety of them, you could call it, let's say, the multiverse, that in itself will be decentralized, right? It won't be centralized. But the projects that are focusing on how can we connect all the different metaverses? How can we create, the interoperability? Those are the ones I'm even more excited about because they're going to be solving a bigger picture problem, and it's something that's going to, I think, be very significant, especially the next bull run that we have. And I think there's going to be a lot of capital, and it likely will also align with regulation in, I'm hoping, the traditional finance space. And that, coupled with what I'm hoping is trillions of dollars from that space, will create what I think is going to be something really incredible.
Interesting.
Sorry, can I just add to that?
Please.
So I think the crash that we saw most recently and all the confidence in the market that was kind of wiped out in the last few weeks, month, I kind of showed that a lot of the projects that came to market really lacked intrinsic value. There was no fundamental anything behind it other than marketing and hype and FOMO. Now that we've wiped all of that out, you're seeing a lot of really cool projects coming to market, which I would call like infrastructure projects, marketplaces, technologies, new smart contracts, new protocols. That is where I think the long-term play is in the industry. If you're able to invest in projects now that are building, or at least providing the picks and shovels to the guys who are going to build the future of blockchain, I think that's the positioning you need to find now. I can speak from experience. I'm working with investors on a daily basis. I've never seen more confidence in infrastructure projects than I've ever seen. Like no one's looking for tokens, no one's looking for an NFT drop. They're looking for guys building marketplaces, building metaverses, building new protocols that actually make sense, that actually have a fundamental value behind them. So I think in market corrections, you find massive opportunities.
Interesting. So basically, infrastructure is the hottest thing right now that the hype has kind of waned.
Well, I don't think there's anything really hot right now in blockchain. I think everyone's a little bit nervous, but I definitely think the people who are spotting the right opportunities are looking for infrastructure.
Okay, I have a closing question for the entire panel. And speaking of infrastructure and new asset classes, basically, so utility NFTs is kind of a new thing, and we still don't know where it's headed. So tell me, what's your vision for utility NFTs? Where will we see it in our day-to-day lives, and how will it look like? So Sigmund.
Definitely. I think the first thing is that I don't think we're going to have one new asset class that's going to become the next, big thing. I know we saw it in 2017 with ICOs. I think what you're going to see in the next bull run is going to be the dots becoming connected. Exactly as you said. Utility NFTs playing a role in real estate, then playing a role in hopefully the traditional finance sectors, and with regulation, capital coming in from them, but also the expansion of the metaverse, the connecting of all of the centralized and decentralized metaverses into kind of one larger conglomerate known as the multiverse. I think that's going to be what is successful, and I think that NFTs are going to start to play an increasingly large role in the identity of individuals online, their role in the metaverse, and I think the entire security premise that we're discussing today, and thus the importance of it, is why we're having this conversation, considering how large many people are anticipating this to be.
Yeah. Sorry. To add to that, I think NFTs are going to be the foundation on which we transact pretty much any asset class. I remember when I was an analyst at TD, I essentially was presenting to them we should transact and settle stocks on chain. There's no reason we can't instantly settle a transaction versus taking 2 days to clear it, because I have to print an envelope, that envelope needs to get stamped by someone and then a lawyer, and then it has to get sent back to me, and then my trade is confirmed in 2 days. Those are inefficiencies essentially dragged out because of an antiquated system. So blockchain, I think, is going to change the way we transact all our stuff that we've already been doing, just better, faster, and cheaper. Like, everyone's been buying art for years. People have been investing in art as an asset class for years. Watches, real estate, it's always been happening. We're just finding new, more efficient ways, cheaper ways to transact it, to prove the history of ownership, the provenance, and to be able to interact with the creators of it through royalties and utilities much more effectively. So what we're doing, we're essentially, yes, through decentralization, we're essentially removing the old guard and kind of refurbishing all that infrastructure.
Asaf, how do you view utility NFTs and their use in the future?
I think that NFT himself will be a major player in the blockchain ecosystem. I don't know if a lot of people know, but Uniswap V3 is basically an NFT contract. So I think that there is a lot of doing a lot of things that you can do there. For example, you can create inheritance that, or even, I want my grandson will have $1 million if he represent an NFT that represent his Harvard degree. This is something that you can do, and this is the stuff that we will be seeing in the future. And I want to add something else about your previous questions. The big next token is out there. If you look on the previous winter, Uniswap, no one know that Uniswap in 2018. Celsius in 2017, I think it's emerged. Fireblocks, most of the big companies emerge from the winter. And there is a very good companies out there right now, and this company will have token, and this token will do thousands of percent.
Thank you all so much for this panel, and enjoy the rest of the day.